I'm going to say it, guys. I'm going to say it. The sexualization of children is being normalized in the United States of America. And this movie serves as something to stand against it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Red Top Report. I'm your host, Joe Enders, and yeah, I went to the movies again, and this time I saw Jim Caviezel in the new movie Sound of Freedom. And you already know that we were going to go and review this. I mean, Ronan, I think you can agree with me on this. This was like something everybody was talking about in the influencer field, all over the place.
Oh, definitely, constantly. Every single social media is just Sound of Freedom everywhere. You cannot, I mean, how do you not know about this by now?
Yeah, guys, this movie is everywhere. And here to talk to me more about this movie is my fellow movie reviewer, Charlie Hornbacher. Welcome back.
It's going well.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a big deal for Christian cinema. Charlie, like this is monumental. I mean, I heard numbers up in $45 million.
Yeah, gross, either and or U.S., Canada, and worldwide, 45 million. But you got to take into account. I just looked at IMDb. The movie only cost estimated $14.5 million to make. Contrast that with Disney's Indiana Jones, which was probably in the $200 million range for just the production of it. That's probably not counting all of the promotional. And Sound of Freedom's competing at the box office with Indiana Jones. Disney's taking a giant L on Indiana Jones. And Sound of Freedom is actually in one of the days over the 4th of July weekend did better on one of the days.
I believe it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday that it performed better. Now, one of the things that I thought was interesting is that this is not a Hollywood production, and people do need to understand that. This was a movie that was made by Angel Studios. If you guys don't know what Angel Studios is, they're the ones that are responsible for the Chosen series and a few other different Christians. It's a Christian company that does those things. And by the way, Chosen, we're still mad at you. Take that pride flag down and never let it come up again. That said, Angel Studios, which I don't know how connected they are to the Chosen cast and that whole fiasco and things like that. What I can say is that this movie was extremely well done, and it looks like something that Hollywood could not have done a better job at making.
Oh, they couldn't do a good job of making that film because Hollywood doesn't know how to write stories anymore. They've
I'm saying even when they did, though.
Even when they did.
Even in their heyday, could that movie have been better? And my answer to that is that I don't personally think that they could have done a better job on that movie.
Well, also because I don't think Hollywood would have a vested interest in doing that subject matter.
Yeah, that's actually something else that I think would be worth bringing up is the slew of articles you could put up the compilation, Ronan, talking about how this movie is like a QAnon conspiracy about child sex trafficking.
Yeah, it's based on a true story, people. Okay?
Yeah, it's based on a true story, guys.
That's not based on a true story.
Kind of just to break down the story a little bit, it's kind of an investigation, a thriller, a kind of a glimpse into the industry of human child sex trafficking.
Yes.
And it takes place, I believe, in Colombia for a lot of the investigation portions. Part of it's in the United States where you have...
I believe he's in California.
Yeah, he's a Homeland
Security officer in California, and then he goes to these other countries to investigate sex crimes, these giant sex rings, and taking down lots of people. And a lot of the whole based on a true story, it's more than just based on the true story. There are elements of the story that are like directly
like
one-to-one,
like the sting
operation where they
actually showed
bunch
video.
Of guys.
They showed video of it at the end,
Yeah.
and at first I was like, "Oh, is that just another angle from the movie?" No, that was the real thing. They made sure everything was like dead on, and I understand why, because it sounds like they knew that this was going to happen because it took them like I want to say 5 years to have this movie finally get released. They didn't really say why in the end.
At the end of the film, Jim Caviezel has a special announcement, and he states that this movie took 5 years to get out after it was produced, after it was made. And you have to wonder why that may have happened. They had a lot of roadblocks. He said we had a lot of roadblocks.
Yep.
So you got to wonder, with Hollywood and the way they are, Epstein and Weinstein and all the Steins. Yeah. They don't want this film to be made because it shows that there is not just these sex rings in Colombia and other places, but it also is throughout the United States.
Yeah, and you know what? People know that it's happening. People are doing it, and that's why it's made, millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I think that, like I said, this is great for the Christian film industry, because what this is going to allow to do, that is money in Angel Studios' coffers to go out and make more movies like this that do come from a more Christian understanding, that actually compete with Hollywood. Because this movie actually competes with Hollywood. And you know who else would like to really compete with Hollywood? Red Top Report would like to compete with Hollywood. So we're going to need millions of dollars as well. So the one way you can do that is by giving us your money.
So we are paying them. Why?
Because it's what you do.
And you can give us your money by going to buymeacoffee.com. That is buymeacoffee.com. The link is in the description. Just click on it below, and you can do a single donation, or you can do a monthly Joe for Joe donation for only $5 a month.
Nice bridge.
Thank you. And so here's the here's kind of what I think is the most interesting aspect of just the movie in general. Audio and visual storytelling. The things that they were able to, the pictures that were worth 1,000 words.
Yeah. So there's a common rule in filmmaking: show, don't tell. And this movie did so much storytelling through visuals and through audio, and not audio like someone speaking, but audio like, the sounds and the feels and all that. And it was superb. You always know the tone, the feel, what people are thinking in this film, because this film is just so good at it. And you get that like crippling, deep sadness when in the film a child is being abused. But you don't have to suffer seeing that, because this film also does an extraordinarily good job of, in old films where the husband and wife kiss and then they fall on the bed and then it fades out.
Yep.
It's kind of like that. You don't see the horrible imagery of child abuse, but it's implied through extraordinarily clever storytelling. The one example I want to share is Jim Caviezel as Tim Ballard is watching the scene portrays him watching actual child abuse in a video, because he's an investigator, because he works for Homeland Security and it's his job to do so. And instead of showing you what he's watching, like an over-the-shoulder shot, they go in with a very tight shot on his eye, and you see the light in his eye from the monitor, and then you see a tear go down his eye, and you just know what he's looking at, and you don't need to see it yourself. You know what he's feeling because you have the tear. You do so much in that one shot to give the tone and the feel for that scene. And I know, it's good when like you're holding back tears in the theater.
Yeah. And I wasn't just holding back tears, though. There was one of the things that I thought was great about this movie is that there was different types of sadness that I would feel throughout it. There was moments of not just like, tear jerking, which, every movie tries to do at least a little bit of tear jerking in it at some point, just to try and keep the viewers engaged. But there were also moments of like genuine rage. You actually wished something awful. That was just your immediate feeling, and you have to, you had to suppress it, as a Christian. But you were just like, I want evil done to those people. I want them to pay for what they did, and you were angry at the people that were involved in these child trafficking rings. And then not only that, there was other points at which I was sad that I was seeing something happen, and it wasn't I'm gonna cry. It was something is wrong. Something's wrong here. And did you get that feeling at all during the movie?
I mean, a whole slew of emotions throughout that film. And, that's one of the ways I gauge a good film is how it makes me feel sitting in the theater. If I am invested enough into the film, I'll feel a certain way. But if I realize I'm in a theater sitting here next to people and we're all staring at a screen, then the film isn't doing its job.
Yeah. I want to go back to this really quickly because the like I said, this movie was not just filled with emotion, but it was filled with complex emotion.
Yeah.
There was a complexity about sadness in that movie, about horror, about rage, about other things. You felt it in different ways than you would normally go into a film and see. And I just gave a few examples of that, but that's actually what I think separates it from other movies, because Hollywood has a formula. It seems like it's very formulaic in what they want you to feel, how they want you to feel it, and when there was something new here.
Yeah,
in my mind.
And one really good thing about this movie was also the pacing and your emotional pacing. Yeah. There were actually a couple of scenes. I heard you laughing. There were a couple of scenes where you laugh out loud.
Yep.
And you're not laughing out loud because, maybe you're sitting in a theater and it's a Marvel film and they insert stupid joke in the middle of a serious scene.
Right.
No, it's nothing like that. You naturally go from the sadness in one scene to another scene where Jim Caviezel as Tim Ballard finally catches this guy and gets him arrested. They nail him for his sex trafficking of children, and Jim Caviezel's acting was brilliant. For most of the film, he's very sad, but then he just gets that big smile on his face, and he tells the guy, "You're under arrest," and everyone laughs, and it's so well done. There's no needless lines in this movie. There's no needless side tangents. Yeah. Everything in the film is ordered towards the purpose of the film, and it's just so brilliantly done.
And there's kind of a hidden purpose to this film that I think a lot of viewers might not have noticed, but it was a demonstration of what true masculinity looks like. They made Tim they made Tim Ballard the epitome of masculinity, and I'm sure in real life he falls short. I'm sure he's not perfect, and I'm sure there's all sorts of problems, but the character that they created in the movie was certainly a man of immense virtue.
Yeah. And in the real life story of Tim Ballard, it's his wife who's a true example of femininity.
Yep.
And she, in real life and in the film, supports him through going to other countries, risking his life to save children.
Yeah. Well, okay, guys. So
spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
I want to let her. There was a part in the movie. The whole point of the movie is that this woman, this young girl, she finds this young girl's brother, and rescues him from being sex trafficked, and and he has a sister, and he wants to go and rescue his sister. And anyway, so the text message comes through. It was either a text message or he said it to somebody else about his wife, but his wife was like, "I feel like she's my daughter." And you felt for that sort of thing, because this is a man out into the world, doing the virtuous thing and rescuing somebody and making an immense sacrifice, putting himself in danger for the greater good of another person. It's very Christ-like. His figure, this character is very Christ-like, but he's not. But he's not perfect in the movie. There's things that there's some struggle there, and one of the struggles is him, deciding on whether he should quit his job to go and do this or not. Whether it's
so close to a pension, so close to retirement, and he decides to quit his job.
Yes,
and that was one of the for the film, there was one of the character development scenes where he has to make this decision. And but that's what he did in real life.
Yeah, and though he seemed like the pinnacle of masculinity, perhaps in the film, you actually did see him develop as a character. He wasn't boring. He wasn't, as you would say, like Mary Sue or anything like that.
Of course
so,
not,
I want to kind of touch on a greater topic though, because it's more. This movie came out at such a perfect time in American culture. Right now is. I mean, you look at like the other movies that have come out, you have like that Cuties movie that was on Netflix, which was literally, putting, it was saying, oh, we're trying to demonstrate the exploitation of children
by exploiting
children and making them dress like hookers, 11-year-old girls and dance for the camera. Like, excuse me? So this movie didn't have to do that and made the same point and made it better.
Oh, yeah. And I think that the fact that this film was delayed 5 years due to certain roadblocks was probably providential.
Yeah.
And although there isn't a direct link in this film, in the theme of this film, to transgenderism and the LGBTQ, there is certainly an indirect link because nowadays, in the modern time, in 2023, we have the sexual exploitation and abuse of children by drag queens doing drag queen story hours and, Target selling these sexualized things and, all that stuff.
The sexualization of children is being
sexualization.
I'm gonna say it, guys. I'm gonna say it. The sexualization of children is being normalized in the United States of America, and this movie serves as something to stand against it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it.
Yes, and this film coming out now as opposed to 5 years ago when it was finished. Again, providential, likely because it is the perfect time to combat that kind of stuff and to let people know that there are more slaves, many of them being sex slaves in today's world than there ever has been in all of human history.
Yep. A good line from Nefarious, then at the height of the Romans Empire, there are more slaves in the world today.
Yeah. And many of them are sex slaves, and it's a whole organization. And if you think your government here in our Western society is, innocent of these sex crimes, think again. If you think Hollywood is, there's maybe just a couple of little, Jeffrey Epstein and Weinstein and all those guys, and there's just a few bad apples. No, it's rampant.
Yep. And you know what? There's a whole Epstein has a whole black book, and he's only one of those people, involved in those types of scandals because it is used. I think in many cases, I think Epstein specifically, it was used in these cases as a way to trap people. They take him to this island. You say, "Oh, I have prostitutes on the island, so you can sleep with this girl," not telling them that they're underage, then getting it on videotape and saying, "I will destroy you if you do anything." And now you have a puppet. Now you have a meat puppet that you can do whatever you need to with in government.
And we know this stuff is rampant in our government and with our politicians. Because why? That little black book? We don't know who's on that list.
We also don't know who killed Jeffrey Epstein because it certainly wasn't himself.
Yeah.
At least we know that. It was.
The courts have put behind lock and key that little black book.
No one knows a thing.
And you know how many people have been arrested for the grand conspiracy of child sex trafficking? One. Yeah. What's her name?
Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell. And you know what? I think that's why everybody needs to be seeing this movie. There are too many children in the world right now being abused, being kidnapped, being taken from their parents. And this movie, finally, something out there sheds a light on that. And, thank you again for coming on, Charlie. Yeah. We'll have you on again to do some more movie reviews in the future. And guys, on that somber note, go see Sound of Freedom. I'm serious. We're going to include the link that they provided us there to allow you to buy tickets to share with other people so they can go and see it as well. You can tell your friends about it as well. I thought that Jim Caviezel did a very good job of representing that in the movie. And that said, you got to follow us on Instagram, guys. You got to follow us on Threads as well. You got to follow us on Twitter. And guys, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel so you can get more content like this. We can keep reviewing movies. We can keep reacting to content. We can keep teaching you guys the Catholic faith, all of those things. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications bell as well so you always know when we're dropping new content. And with that said, guys, that's all we got for this episode. God bless you.